He was nicknamed the Black Mamba, but off the court, he was a devoted father of 4 girls, a husband of 18 years. He and his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, were killed in a helicopter on their way to a basketball game. Tonight, we celebrate a remarkable life and a man who was much more than a basketball legend.
What can I say? Mamba out.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Tonight is a very sad night for us all. 9 are dead in that helicopter crash. 9 tragedies, 9 reasons to mourn a pilot and 8 passengers. I'm joined here by my GMA co-anchor, Michael Strahan. I know Kobe was a good friend of yours, and it's very difficult for you to be here.
Yeah.
Tom Rinaldi, our colleague at ESPN, and we are being broadcast right now on ABC and ESPN, and that is in part a testament to Kobe Bryant, because he was bigger than basketball, went beyond that. And I was around a group of people when the news was coming in, and Tom, it was just like such disbelief, just shock.
So often there is shock when there is sudden loss, and we feel, Robin, like there's an ending. But this feels a bit different. It feels like something and someone was taken, obviously most painfully from the Bryant family, but in a greater sense from the sporting world. Somebody who had so much left to achieve, who had already built a legacy and only cresting in his momentum. This is just tragic.
Yeah, and we look at it as if he'd be a basketball world, but I think the world as a whole. This was a guy who had made an impact on the court, off the court, a great father, a great friend, a great husband, and a legend, and gone too soon. And
we were all excited to see what he was going to do next, and I think that's part of what has really taken us aback. So we have a lot that we're going to discuss today, but we're going to go right now to Calabasas, California, where the crash took place, and Matt Gutman is there for us. Matt?
Robin, this is still very much an active scene. They've been bringing in heavy equipment. You can see that bulldozer behind me. We've seen ATVs brought in, all to handle the treacherous terrain. That mountainside where the crash happened, so steep. And just moments ago, just beyond that caution tape, we saw the coroner's truck round the corner, we believe, taking the bodies away.
South of 101, helicopter went down.
Tonight, tragedy in the hills of Calabasas, California. The helicopter took off at 9:06 a.m. from the Orange County Airport. Inside, NBA legend Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others. It crashed 40 minutes later. The chopper bursting into flames, killing everyone on board. The column of smoke seen for miles. Fire crews racing to the crash site, perched on a steep hillside.
Paramedics were hoisted down to the incident early into the incident. They did a search of the area for survivors. Unfortunately, all the survivors on board were determined to have been perished.
Eyewitnesses say they saw the chopper flying low and heard the engine sputtering before the crash.
I heard some noise of helicopter was struggling. I mean, you can tell because the engine was not really running fast.
I heard a helicopter just flying just way too low, and I heard like a loud thud noise.
The individuals that saw the aircraft said it was coming down at a fairly significant rate of speed and impacted the ground on the hillside behind me here.
Authorities investigating what caused the chopper to go down. Firefighters and hand crews worked to extinguish the fire while carefully preserving the crash site for investigation. And tonight, dozens gathered here near the scene of the crash, a chant of Kobe going up as they mourn the man who meant so much to Los Angeles.
I'm sick right now.
I'm sick.
And we met this young man in the number 24 jersey, named Bryant after his parents' favorite basketball player. The chopper was heading to the Mamba Sports Academy, co-founded by Bryant. I met these 2 basketball players scheduled to play Gianna's team, which Bryant coached.
Was there supposed to be a game today?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were supposed to play his team at 12.
We got the news and it just kind of like everybody just stopped. The game stopped. A lot of us broke down because it was just like everybody started getting on their knees. So
this video posted on Twitter today showing that moment of anguish and shock in the gym. Tributes pouring in.
He inspired a whole generation of young athletes.
Shaquille O'Neal writing, "There's no words to express the pain I'm going through with this tragedy." Michael Jordan writing, "He was a fierce competitor, one of the greats of the game, and a creative force." Other victims identified are Orange Coast College head baseball coach John Altobelli, his wife Carrie, and daughter Alyssa. The NTSB is on their way to the crash site tonight.
And just to give you a sense of how bad the weather was this morning, the LAPD grounding all of its helicopters, saying the weather did not meet the standards for flight. Now, the key now is going to be preserving that crash scene. There are law enforcement officers across the hillside to ensure that nobody tampers with that crash site. It has to remain pristine for investigators to learn exactly what happened here. Michael.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. And the one key word you said was shocked. I think we all are. And we're joined now by another legendary player, legendary Laker as well, Hall of Famer, All-Star as a player who went on to coach the Lakers as well. Let me start with Jerry West with, I'm so sorry for your loss to you and also the Laker family. And you were very instrumental in Kobe's early career. What was your reaction when you first heard the news?
Well, first of all, I hope it isn't true, because a lot of times you see the reports and they identified a plane and then, a helicopter that went down, and obviously someone said it was Kobe's helicopter that he had flown frequently throughout the years, even when he was a player, flying from his home to the games and to practice. And after that, it really was a retreat into the background, my association with him, helping him arrive here in Los Angeles, watching him grow as a player, and being like a surrogate father for him. When he was 17 years old, couldn't drive. My son Ryan used to drive him to the practices. He'd never been in the 405 freeway, never had that horrible experience. And then to start thinking about some of the intimate things that I had done with him to help him through the hurdles of a 17-year-old kid trying to become an NBA player and take that enormous amount of talent he had and to put it within a framework that would help the Lakers be successful for so many years. 20 years career. One of the worst days of my life. The only thing I can compare it to is I had a brother killed in Korea, and I'm just devastated by this news. And to watch him transform his life and career from this iconic player to have an enormous career in the media business, and to see him with his young kids, his young daughters, the joy that was in their eyes looking at their father, who obviously they loved, to the attention he paid to them, to his getting involved in promoting women's basketball. This was a man for all seasons. He was more than an iconic basketball player. He was someone who inspired millions of fans, not here in this state, not here in the United States, all over the world.
All around the world.
He arguably was the most all around the world, particularly starting in Asia. He was beloved. You see certain figures, a Magic Johnson with his personality, and Kobe's was completely different. Irvin, that big smile, inviting attitude, and him walking around the street, people coming up to him. This guy was like a Pied Piper. People would follow him everywhere just to look at him, to touch him, for him to say hello. For me, this is a god-awful day.
It's so apparent that it is. It's written all over your face in the eloquent way that you spoke about Kobe, and he definitely so multifaceted. You were the general manager at the time in 1996. He's a 17-year-old kid in Philadelphia. You orchestrated the deal with Charlotte to bring him to Los Angeles. Can you what was it about him, a 17-year-old kid from Philly? What was it about him that you knew he was special?
Well, I think you can see special talent in people, okay? a lot of people have special talent, but they waste it or they never use it. And I think, Michael, in football today, we see some players that you just shake your head, my gosh, what an opportunity you've had, and you're ruining it. We didn't ruin his opportunity. He was never going to give up. And to watch the growth spurt with him, to watch the trials and tribulations, because in practice he would dribble through 5 guys and make a dunk, okay? You can't win that way. And it took him a while to understand that there was a process for him to get involved and play on a team, and a team that could win. He became the leader of the pack. Watching him and Shaquille O'Neal was watching Superman and Spider-Man. Kobe Bryant was Spider-Man. He could go through holes, do things that no one else could do. And I think because he started so young, that he resonated with so many people, the young kids who have hopes and dreams like he did. Watching him go to a summer league game, okay? The place was jam-packed, and my son relayed a story to me just today about, and I obviously was there, I think he scored 29 points as a 17-year-old kid. And after the game, he remarked to my son, boy, that was really easy. And you start to think to yourself, 17 years of age, you can't even sign a contract yet? But he was just, the more you're around him, people saw this serious side. He was fun. He could laugh at himself. But as I say, he brought joy to so many young kids that had the same admiration and same desire to do something unique.
Jerry,
he talked about it.
Jerry, the emotion is plain on your face and in your voice, and we know it's a very, very difficult day for you and for all those in the Laker family and across the world who have a passion for basketball. We thank you so much, Jerry, for sharing some of your memories on such a difficult evening with you. We appreciate it, Jerry. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
It's not easy to write an obituary about someone who's only 41 years old. But there are a handful of athletes who can't be summarized by their accomplishments. They're not described by their achievements. They create a feeling, indelible, iconic. Kobe Bryant was one of those. And in so many ways, his legacy was just beginning. One name. Kobe. That's all we needed. From the time we first saw him as an ascendant star at Lower Merion High School outside Philadelphia, Kobe Bryant did more than shine. He captivated, and faster than that, he dominated.
I had decided to skip college and take my talent to the NBA.
Picked 13th in the 1996 NBA draft by Charlotte.
Kobe Bryant from Lower Merion High School in Pennsylvania.
He was traded that same day to the Lakers.
Golden jersey, baby.
And Kobe Bryant making his first appearance.
Bryant would become the youngest player ever to appear in an NBA game.
Kobe Bryant, 18-year-old rookie.
By his second season, an NBA All-Star. Playing with a flair, feel, and instinct that for many conjured Michael Jordan.
That is so difficult. Some people can't dribble between their legs.
By his fourth season in 2000, playing alongside Shaquille O'Neal, he was an NBA champion.
Are we looking forward to coming back next year and defending our throne? Absolutely.
The first of 3 consecutive titles for the Lakers.
Champions Lakers have made it 3 straight NBA championships.
After O'Neal left Los Angeles, Bryant would become a leading light and unrelenting scorer in the league.
History tonight at Staples Center.
Famously dropping 81 against Toronto in 2006.
And an 81-point game, 55 in the second half.
It's about the W. I turned it on because I felt like we were a little lethargic, so I just started going full bore. And it just turned into something special.
He won the scoring title that season, and again in '07, and then was named league MVP in 2008.
You know, these are my guys, these are my brothers, and we have won MVP.
In 2016, Bryant retired from the league as an 18-time All-Star, 5-time NBA champion, and 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Bryant was widely expected to be inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame on the first ballot later this year.
Number 24, Kobe Bryant.
And perhaps the greatest proof of Kobe's powerful legacy is the way other greats, Michael, responded to him.
Yeah.
We say game recognizes game, and some of the people closest to him in his life were those who also had that same unquenchable competitive drive and fire.
He had a mentality that very few have and will have in the future. He's a special player, a special man, special mentality, and that's why we are here tonight to honor him. Yeah. And we have much more ahead tonight, everybody. But first, we want you to see the scene outside of the Staples Center where the Lakers play.
Look at that crowd that is growing, has been growing through the hours. And a tribute to Kobe from the stage of tonight's Grammy Awards. This happened just a little while ago with the host, Alicia Keys.
We're all feeling crazy sadness right now. Because earlier today, Los Angeles, America, and the whole wide world lost a hero. And we're literally standing here heartbroken in the house that Kobe Bryant built.
You're looking live at Los Angeles Airport, where the columns have been lit up in Lakers colors, purple and gold, a tribute to Laker legend Kobe Bryant, who we lost tonight with 8 others in a helicopter crash in California.
Like so many, I had the privilege of sitting down with Kobe and had many conversations with him over the years. Now, one of the most meaningful to me was done just a few years ago. It was in Philadelphia. It was when he was about to announce his retirement year, and being with him in that school and sitting down with him and hearing what he wanted to do next. So this very court.
This very court right here.
Wow.
We used to play pick-up basketball.
But the thing is, I heard from coaches back then, junior high, and they said, this guy's a pro. What did you know? What did you know?
Probably about my 12th grade year, my senior year. I knew I had things measured pretty well, and I started sizing up the pro competition. What do I need to do to play with the big boys? You know.
All the way, dumps it home.
20 years with the same team, the LA Lakers. How important is that to you?
Extremely. It means everything to me. I was such a huge Laker fan growing up. I mean, like a diehard Laker fan. I had Magic posters, Magic T-shirts, had all the video cassettes of them winning championships, and it was my dream to be a Los Angeles Laker. And so, to be here for 20 years and to get to know some of my mentors, it's been a dream come true. I mean, I meet fans where you know, we're the same age, and they say, man, I was just coming out of high school. You were just coming to the Lakers. I was just starting UCLA. You were just starting with the Lakers, and you know, now they're either, you know, executives at, you know, big corporations or movie studios, whatever the case may be. But we've literally grew up together, and that's such a beautiful thing.
You're very humble in saying that you have received far more than you have given to the fans, that you feel that way, and yet you sincerely feel that way. What have you learned about yourself through these 20 years of being in the NBA?
Wow. What I've learned is to always keep going. Always. You know, there's been times, particularly early in my career, where it just feels like this is the end. But what I've come to find out is that, you know, no matter what happens, the storm eventually ends. And when the storm does end, you want to make sure that you're ready. And so I've really learned to put one foot in front of the other, good, bad, or indifferent, because eventually that storm passes.
You have talked about wanting to have your place in the history of this game. I mean, you said that from day one. That it was very important to you, that it wasn't about, yes, you've made a lot of money, yes, all that, but that was never your motivation. Top 5 players of all time. Who would those 5 players be, and would you crack the starting 5?
Sure. No, I would never put myself in the starting 5 ever. I'll put the people that I've actually learned the most from, being Jordan, Magic, Bird, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Jerry West. Those are the players that personally I've learned the most from.
First word that comes to mind when I say these words, okay? Basketball.
Love.
Los Angeles.
Home.
Retirement.
Peace.
And legacy.
Wow.
Well, it's a good word.
Wow.
It is. An appropriate word like that. Always tried to wear purple when I was around him. He appreciated that so much. But do you all remember this? Before he sat down to do that interview, and this was before it's going to be his last season, he wrote that letter.
Yes.
He wrote a letter to the city of Los Angeles, where he played for 20 years. This is part of what he said. Whether you view me as a hero or a villain, please know I poured every emotion, every bit of passion, and my entire self into being a Laker. I'm getting chills. What you've done for me is far greater than anything I've done for you.
And the fans felt that.
Yeah, they really did.
You know, listening to that interview, Robin, I was struck by, and I think it's unavoidable, how incomplete Kobe's answer was on legacy, where he simply uttered, wow.
Right. But I remember him also saying, there's a difference between what you do and who you are. And just think about that. And I think that's why it was so difficult for him to talk about the legacy, because he had so much more. No, wasn't done.
And I had a chance to interview him for Dear Basketball, which he won an Oscar for. And it was interesting to see him take the same mentality that he had as a basketball player and apply it not only in TV, but also in business in general, and have the same type of success.
Yeah.
Amazing.
An Oscar.
An Oscar.
Yeah.
Only one to ever do it.
Yeah. We have with us now Michael Wilbon, an ESPN commentator who knew Kobe very well. And Michael, I know that you had a very special relationship with Kobe. Tell us about that.
Well, Robin, like you did, I had a front row seat to Kobe's entire career, from not long after those days at that high school gym you were visiting in Philly, through the final, days of his career as a Los Angeles Laker. And it was fascinating to see. I sat down with him. I just looked at it, the last interview we did on camera, talking about what was to come. And you talk about an incomplete answer there. He had so much planned, and he was so passionate about it. He was so engaged. And, people have asked me today, what do you think of first? And the basketball is not what I think of first. I think because when you have that front row seat, it also comes with a pass to sort of get you behind the curtain. And in that case, with the people that you get to interact with for years and years and years, there are personal things. I had a heart attack 12 years ago, this week actually. And when I got out of the hospital and got home, at the front door was an enormous bouquet of flowers. And the note said, from Kobe Bryant. And I was trying to figure out, okay, who's playing this practical joke on me? And I called the Lakers, and they confirmed that Kobe had called to ask for my address. And that preceded a complete dressing down of what I needed to do better as I got older, particularly with a son on the way. And we talked about parenthood and fatherhood and health and all the sorts of issues that people don't necessarily see when they're looking at games and post-game interviews. And you're talking about last-second shots and strategies and what went into this and what about this pass and teammates and decision-making. And that was all there. And as I have said today, God knows I loved every performance I saw. And they were performances. I mean, it was like performance theater. And I think that, we can go back to some people, and certainly Magic and Michael had that, and Kobe had it, and you felt it every single time you watched them, that you were watching theater. And so there's that combination of the personal and the professional that I'm still trying to sort of get my arms around this entire tragic day. And I haven't done it yet, and I suspect it's going to take a long time.
Well, Michael, we appreciate you sharing that with us about your special relationship with Kobe, and we are sorry for your loss as well, my friend.
Same with you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we have so much more about Kobe Bryant to come. But first, we want to take you to Los Angeles in a scene earlier today outside the Staples Center where Kobe gave everything he had on the court for those fans. And those fans, they let him know that they appreciated everything he's done. They're chanting, "Thank you, Kobe." Chants heard all around the world.
You're looking at a very special tribute. That is outside of Kobe Bryant's high school, which is just outside of Philadelphia. Kobe was one of the first. There were only a few at that time to go straight from high school to the NBA. Keep in mind, he was 17 years old when he left.
Amazing.
To go to the NBA. Crazy.
And we're better for it that he did. And though Kobe Bryant, he was a basketball star, but there are some sports figures who became a little bit more than their game. Kobe Bryant ended up bigger than basketball.
There are countless athletes who could sell shoes or shoot hoops around the world, but Kobe Bryant was perhaps America's most authentic international sports superstar, because Kobe Bryant could also speak the language, several in fact. Spanish, Italian, Chinese, multilingual, multi-championships, 5 rings in all for a generational figure who emerged from high school and took his game to the game. He was in fact LeBron before LeBron, who even as a teenager played basketball like a grown man.
He was 17 years old when he was drafted by the NBA. And even in his first year as a Laker, he was a star, showing this kind of self-confidence that you rarely saw in any young player.
His storied career complete with unwavering intensity. One of his most iconic moments, when Bryant simply refused to flinch as Matt Barnes pump-faked a hard pass at his head after the pair had a series of physical plays.
As Matt Barnes and Kobe Bryant say hello to each other.
He never backed down from a big moment. He never was afraid to take the big shot. And that's why everybody loved him, especially young people.
And in this age where stardom and scandal can be synonymous, Bryant had his time in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Accused of rape after what Bryant described as consensual sex, the case never went to trial as the alleged victim refused to testify, though a settlement was reached in civil court. When Kobe retired, NBA players from around the league expressed their appreciation in a fond farewell.
And I remember one thing that he said, he was like, if you want to try to be, great at it or want to be one of the greats, you got to put the work in. There's no substitution to work.
In retirement, Kobe began his second act and called on that same intensity to make it in the business and media world. He won an Oscar as a producer.
Dear basketball, I fell in love with you. A love so deep, I gave you my all. From my mind and body to my spirit and soul.
My little 11-year-old Gianna goes, well, Dad, you always tell us to go after our dreams, so man up. She's 11. Man up. So I had to man up and go for it.
A gentler sigh from the man who was hard as nails his entire career, including the night he lit up Jalen Rose and the Toronto Raptors for 81 points, a night that two men could joke about later in a promo for ESPN.
How many olives would you like?
81.
Really?
Nah, man, I'm just playing.
Besides his business, he embraced women's basketball, a passion he shared with his daughter. He would be her mentor, her coach. As an athlete, Kobe Bryant had few peers. Child prodigy to at times brooding superstar to successful entrepreneur. At 41, he lived a short life, and by most accounts, he lived it his way. Authentic, fierce, without apology.
Definitely his way. Thank you, Byron. ABC correspondent Chris Connolly is joining us from Los Angeles. And Chris, tell us what Kobe meant to the city of Los Angeles.
I think he was the biggest sports star of the 21st century here in Los Angeles. I think his face was the face of Los Angeles sports, particularly for a younger generation that might not have been as familiar with the work of Magic Johnson or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He represented for the Lakers. And he had a kind of self-awareness about celebrity that very much fit as someone who came out of Hollywood and who represented Hollywood. And so it's no surprise that he did so well in show business and, in fact, won that Academy Award you were mentioning before. Particularly for young people, he was the guy they dreamed of becoming. For men and women, he was the figure in sports that made them want to pick up a basketball and made them want to excel in basketball with his drive and his love for the game. And particularly here in Los Angeles, that will never be forgotten.
It certainly will not, Chris. We're going to get more from you just ahead, but we're going to talk more about Kobe Bryant on a night when we're all still in shock at his death, along with 8 others. Again, 9 tragedies. We cannot forget that 9 tragedies tonight in that helicopter crash.
Most of America saw Kobe Bryant on the court, pushing himself and pushing his teammates in every single game. Off the court, he was just as focused on achievement. Once again, Chris Connolly.
Kobe Bryant, basketball superstar, was better known to a much smaller circle by another name, Dad. Bryant and his wife Vanessa married 19 years ago. Parents to 4 daughters. Natalia, who celebrated turning 17 just a week ago. Gianna, who died with her father, was 13. Bianca is 3. And 7-month-old Capri, born just this summer. He told our Eva Pilgrim last September that his girls inspired his latest book.
Well, I have 4 girls at home, and I want to make sure it's important that they, see characters that look like them, and that are also athletes, and they get tired of hearing my voice. Of be persistent, work hard, believe in yourself. They're kind of like, okay, Dad, all right, I got it, we get it. So when I can put them into stories like this, hopefully we'll get that same message without having their parents in their ear all the time.
When Kobe announced he would retire from basketball, Robin Roberts asked whether his wife and daughters were ready for their dad in a dimming spotlight.
And how is Vanessa and the girls? How are they about Daddy retiring?
They're good. They're good. I mean, they're a little torn. Vanessa's obviously torn. I mean, when her and I met is before all of this happened. It's a little bittersweet, but still in all, we're looking forward to the next chapter.
In what is believed to be his last filmed interview, here's Kobe, the proud dad, humble bragging that his daughter's love of basketball seems to be genetic.
When I took it to the Laker game, that's the first Laker game I've been to, I think, since my jersey retirement.
Really?
And we just had so much fun because for the first time I was seeing the game through her eyes. It was her, like she was having such a good time, and the players were coming up and saying hi to her, and and Brian was talking about her fadeaway and all. It was exciting, and she had such a great time. And as a father, I mean,
that's all you want. That's all you can ask for.
Yes.
The 5-time NBA champ was also an Academy Award winner.
Basketball players, we're really supposed to shut up and dribble, but I'm glad we can do a little bit more than that.
His 2018 Best Animated Short Film, Dear Basketball, a love letter to the sport that defined his life and that he redefined.
No matter what I do next, I'll always be that kid with the rolled up socks, garbage can in the corner, 5 seconds on the clock. Love you always, Kobe.
Vintage Kobe. And joining us now is Gautam Chopra. His Showtime documentary, Kobe Bryant's Muse, is the portrait of this competitive, iconic player. And Gautam, I want to thank you for being with us on this terribly sad night. And you got a chance to know Kobe in a way that many will never. So please tell us about the man that you knew, that you got a chance to spend a lot of time making this documentary with.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. It's you know, it's sort of oddly comforting to talk about him and relationship with him during what is like a profoundly sad time. I got to know Kobe, I met him almost 10 years ago, and we became friends. We originally met friend of a friend through some philanthropic activities. And, you know, Kobe and I are pretty much the same age. I grew up in Boston as a diehard Celtics fan. Before he was, of course, a Laker legend, he was a huge fan. And so we kind of bonded over that. But I think even when I met Kobe 10 years ago, he was thinking about life after basketball and all the things that he wanted to do. So we talked a lot about filmmaking and doing a documentary together. Never quite had figured it out until 2013 when he ruptured his Achilles. And that night he decided he was coming back, and he texted me and he said, hey, we've got the plot. And so that's how we started working together. And then, of course, that story took about 2 years to take because there's so many twists and turns in his comeback. And I would say over that time, he says it in one of the trailers. He says, this isn't a documentary, this is therapy. And that's really what it felt like working with him. He was unpacking a lot of things and really got to know him pretty well through that process.
But he wasn't the guy to say, hey, okay, Gotham, you have the camera, you film me, you make it what you want it to be. He was in control as much as you were. He was so involved in this documentary.
It was agonizing. You know, there was just, you know, he's the same guy he is on the basketball court, off the court. And, you know, I learned that pretty early on is like, you know, he and Shaq won championships when they were at each other's throats. And so he was in the edit room 2, 3 in the morning. He was pushing everybody. And sometimes we would just kind of like, we just couldn't believe it. But, you know, I give him a lot of credit. I mean, he pushed all of us towards greatness. He challenged us. He fought with us. He argued with us. And I feel like that was a catalyst for me in terms of my career and really helping push me towards the best version of myself.
He made us all better. Love what you're wearing. We love the Black Mamba that you're wearing right now. I know that's for him. Thank you, Gotham. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate that. Kobe was committed to promoting basketball for young people. His daughter, Gianna, as we've been talking about, was part of that. He and Gianna were flying in that helicopter to the Mamba Cup. And this photo right here, I mean, when you saw this, I mean, it's kind of like what he was referring to earlier about how he talked with Gianna about the game. And this was the Mamba Cup where they were flying to. And when everybody there got word that the helicopter had crashed, killing all 9 people on board. Welcome back to our special tribute to Kobe Bryant. He loved his purple and gold. This is the Santa Monica Pier. And as you can see, Ferris wheel lit up in Laker colors, purple and gold. We're joined now by our ESPN colleague, Jalen Rose, who played against Kobe in that astonishing game where Kobe scored 81 points. Jalen, thank you so much for being with us this evening. It's a difficult one for many of us. What was it like being on the court and facing off against Kobe Bryant?
Robin, Kobe Bryant embodied what I consider the best of both worlds. He was an assassin to compete against. He was a nightmare out on the floor. But he was also disciplined, intelligent, cultured, and well-read. There's no accident that he has 2 numbers retired at the Staples Center. And as somebody that lived in L.A. his entire career and also worked in the media and got a chance to work out with him at UCLA, play against him in the NBA Finals, and as you mentioned, play against him in that historic 81-point game and watch him score 60 points in his final NBA game. It just continued to push what dynamics of greatness Kobe Bryant had. And as a 17-year-old, when he said that he was going to be the greatest of all time, there were so many people snickering, but he got as close to Michael Jordan as anybody ever will.
Jalen, not always adored, but universally respected. What's one example of his famous competitive drive that you saw beyond the 81?
Kobe Bryant uniquely embodied all of the cliches many old school people happen with current day athletes in sports, like having a killer instinct, competing on a nightly basis, wanting to get better each practice, each game, not fraternizing with the opponents, and continuing to push the envelope of what excellence really was as a 5-time champion, a multi-time All-Star, and in retirement. And Michael will tell you, it's always refreshing to see how athletes reinvent themselves. And as an Academy Award winner, see him be a father of 4 and a husband. Those are heartfelt moments that we hope to see all of our family and friends, in particular our icons, get a chance to be grandparents and get a chance to be elderly. And there were so many more things for Kobe Bryant to give the world, and it's been a devastating loss for humanity.
And definitely has been, Jalen. And we want to thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We have much more ahead tonight, everybody, and so many more in the death of Kobe Bryant.
So many thoughts, so many words that come to mind when it comes to Kobe Bryant. What's the one word for you, Tom?
Robin, I think sometimes we confuse record and legacy. Record is what you've done. Legacy is what you've meant. And I think it's very difficult to try to summarize and describe shortly his legacy.
And you know, we saw him tell Mike Wilbon that scoring 29 points at 17 was easy. Tonight was anything but. And I just want to say our prayers and our thoughts are with Vanessa and the family, the Bryant family.
And the Bryant family, and to remember that 7 others, including Kobe and his daughter Gianna, were killed, and thinking of all the families, all the loved ones. And we thank you for being here with us on this very difficult evening. We know that you're hurting. We are as well. Tom Rinaldi, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have both on ESPN and ABC. And again, that was a tribute to Kobe Bryant. And I'll see you bright and early.
In the morning.
I think we have something to talk about in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes. But that competitive spirit, you're about to see it again right here. Good night.